Let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Name a Pod, where today Jeremy and I are going to be discussing mostly climate change and some other environmental issues because Earth Day is right around the corner. So we felt like it'd be a good time to talk about some of this stuff. Unlike Jane Fonda, though, we can't go get arrested every Friday to protest climate change. So we're just going to talk about it for a little while. We would like to point out to our listeners that sadly Robert can't be with us this week, but hopefully he will be back very, very soon. So you're just going to have to put up with us. I personally got started with my own little level of activism when I was in high school. About 30 years ago, I was the president of my Earth Club, and I got my school to do better with recycling, which in the early mid-90s was kind of a big deal.
Well, it's a big topic, but a lot of places weren't doing it.
Right. And so, it was like, oh God, we got the recycle bins and we got, and I felt great. I was like, yeah, I'm doing something. Right. And flash forward 30 years later, you can't put glass in a regular recycling bin where I live here in Georgia. You have to drive it up the road, basically collect all your glass bottles and whatnot, and drive it to a special place to get rid of it because of the cost of recycling glass.
Yeah, here we have to take it to the dump. The recycling center won't even take it.
Yeah.
They refuse glass. So we have to take it to the dump.
And it's like crazy to me. This is the first time I've ever lived in a place where you can't put glass in the recycling. And because, of the way they do it, I've worked in a couple of places down here already where it's bartending and whatnot, and you just throw the glass in the garbage, and it's like, oh my God, it blows my mind, because a restaurant it's not like they're get provided with special containers or anything to put the glass in. So you have two choices. You either collect hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles, which you're talking about a bar, every single week, and have to pay somebody to go, drop them off or whatever, versus just throwing it away because that's easier.
Well, even when they were
sucks.
Around here, they wouldn't take colored glass. It had to be clear. So
really?
So beer bottles and whatnot, they would turn their nose and be like, no, we can't take that. So
wow, that's so strange.
They've been doing that for a long time. I think they eventually changed that, and then now they changed it to where they just don't take glass at all. But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, if it was green or brown tinted or anything, they'd be like, no.
I know here it doesn't matter if it's if you choose to, and we've saved bottles for a while, and one of these days we're just gonna make a trip over there, drop them off. But you can recycle the colored glass and stuff. But yeah, you just have to bring it. It can only be certain, it's got to be beverage containers, bottles, that kind of whatever. But it doesn't matter if it's green or brown or blue or.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
although if you have blue glass, just keep it, because bluegrass is very special. Yes, bluegrass is special, but blue glass is kind of very special. So if you have blue glass, just save it.
Oh yeah.
Use it for something else.
Like carnival glass, like those carnival glass bowls that little old ladies would have, their little candy tray.
They're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But no, so we're talking about glass, but Jerry, you have to work with, because of your job, you work with some stuff that's actually really a lot more difficult to dispose of, with the small engine stuff, like oil, scrap metals and stuff. What can you tell our listeners about kind of some of the stuff you have to deal with when it comes to that kind of work?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's the same for big franchise places like, say, Jiffy Lube, places like that. But
Right.
for us as a little mom and pa lawnmower shop, repair place, it's becoming more and more difficult to find ways to dispose of scrap metal and oil, like spent oil,
Right. Yeah.
and it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's difficult for everybody or if it's just us, but it is becoming more and more of a problem lately, and just trying to figure out how to dispose properly.
Yeah, because like what are your options when you have to, like say you have spent oil, or you have scrap metal that is no longer usable as far as repair or anything like that.
Well, with the scrap metal, we used to have a company that would come by and pick it up, and they'd actually like pay us for it and take it away. And it was a nice little setup, and that doesn't exist anymore. Now we have to take it ourselves. We have to load it up and haul it down to one of our junkyards where they do scrap metaling. So
Hmm.
they don't just put it in a pile and let it go. Like they turn it into other various things.
Right.
But
Yeah. It gets repurposed in some way.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking like worn out lawnmower blades, busted carburetors, you know
Hmm.
sometimes entire engines, things.
Yeah.
So then there's also like all the metal off of the machines that they were on themselves, like the deck for a lawnmower, or the the pole for a string trimmer. There's
Right.
there's various amounts of metal in all of these things, and like I said, it used to be a very simple process. They just come pick it up, give us money, bada bing, bada boom, it was done.
Yep.
Not anymore. Now it's a big fiasco, and it takes time out of our day too, because instead of cranking wrenches,
Yeah.
somebody, usually two of us, have to haul this down to get disposed. They've just
Right.
made it.
Because it's not like you can just let it pile up. You have to do something
No.
with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it does pile up though. That's the problem.
Oh,
It,
yeah. Yeah.
and eventually, it gets to the point where we have no choice but to. And
Right.
cardboard's another one. We get crazy amounts of cardboard because we get shipments all the time that come in giant cardboard boxes, and those pile up. And our recycling place will sometimes take them, sometimes not. Either way, it's
Oh my
always
God.
they,
Cardboard? Really? That's
yeah,
supposed to be an easy one.
yeah. But they won't pay us for it no matter what. There will be times that they say,
Wow.
yeah, we're not accepting cardboard right now. But
Oh my God.
either way, they
That's
won't
crazy.
pay us for it at all. It's completely like we just do it because, like, what else are we gonna do?
Right. I mean, and just like even when we're, trying to get away from oil and stuff as much as we can, like just fossil fuels in general, it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if, this stuff was just electric and we wouldn't have to worry about as much with, certain types of things that were required to run on gas or oil, right? But I mean, electric cars still technically run on coal because that's where we get most of our electricity, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, so until we have sustainable energy resources that can charge batteries, I mean, and the batteries are also made out of precious metals and stuff, but we won't even get into that. But like, um, yeah, sure, they'll last longer and whatever, and perhaps be easier to fix in the long term, but they're still running on coal. Like, that's where we get most of our electricity. It's just, but then, and electricity, I guess we can just kind of get into this weird little segue I did there, but no, but talking about electricity though, like, because especially last summer, not even withstanding the thing that happened in Texas before then, when Texas like froze and their grid was so stressed out because they weren't prepared for having all of those people needing to have heat on
Uh-huh.
at the same time. But that heat wave we had last summer, there were brownouts and power out like everywhere because the grid could not withstand the amount of people that needed extra cooling or heat or whatever in their homes.
Oh,
Um,
many people didn't even have things because they never needed
oh
it.
yeah,
There
and
were areas where
yeah,
it was mild all the time. They
hmm
didn't need it, and all of a sudden, bam, they're getting hit with like 110-degree weather, and they don't know how to handle that.
Well, you had to go through that, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're in Oregon. That was like what was it was like 120 degrees up there.
Yeah, I got up to around there, around 120. Yeah,
Oh my
it was, and that burnout my AC. I just had like a little wall unit kind of AC thing, and
right, because most people would in that kind of area. Because why would
right,
you need central air? No one has
yeah,
central air.
didn't need that. So I ended up having to replace it, and I got one of those HVAC things, the split units that are heat and cooling.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I have to say, I absolutely love it. but but I digress. Other people weren't so lucky. When I was when my AC died on me, I have dogs, and I can't just leave them at home in here to like swelter.
Yeah, right. God,
So
yeah.
I rushed out to our Home Depot to get one of those like little portable AC units. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah. That you
little,
can kind of move them around. Yeah.
yeah, a little guy on
Uh-huh.
wheels, little tube coming out to your window. Yeah, I wasn't alone on that one, but I was lucky to get one. There were like two left when
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, people were I carts everywhere had all kinds of AC units in them. It was insane.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even imagine, like, because even when we lived in Western North Carolina, it could get pretty hot during the summer for a couple months, but we always just had a window unit and it was fine, you know. But yeah, here in Georgia though, when that heat wave went through, I could not believe that it never got as hot here as it did even for you. Like for us, I think the worst was it was like 103 degrees. Now, mind you, we're right on the ocean. It's humid. It's like walking into a bowl of almost boiling pea soup. It's insane.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But everybody here has central air because you couldn't live without it. Like it's over 90 degrees for like 4 months straight. Like
Mhm.
there's no way, so everybody down here has it. So it's just like it wasn't as bad for us because it was like, oh, well, it's 103 degrees. Just don't go outside today.
Right.
Just stay in your air conditioned house, watch some TV, and chill the fuck out. Like you don't have to go
Uh-huh.
outside.
At the very least, go from your AC home to your AC car to your AC work, and
Or the AC grocery store or the
right?
AC, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you never have to be outside for more than like 2 minutes,
Oh,
like
yeah, no, I've been on your neck of the woods before, and yeah, you literally drink your breath during the summer.
yeah, you do. It's so
It's
gross.
horrid.
I mean, thank God we have a pool, but even if it's like 90 degrees outside, I really don't want to be outside unless I'm in the pool.
Uh-uh. Oh, that 3 weeks that I spent over there was the most miserable 3 weeks I think I've ever spent.
Oh God, I know it's
I
so
met
hot.
great people. I did. That was a saving grace. I met some very great people I'm still friends with today. But
Well, what's like extra gross though about just the climate change and the fact that the Earth overall is just kind of generally heating, and we are getting more of these extreme weather events, like that heat dome we had last summer, or that massive horrible blizzard in Texas a couple years ago. Like things are just getting more and more extreme. The tornadoes that were just happening,
oh yeah,
in the southern part of the Midwest, like, oh my God, dude, that's just it. That is horrifying. That's so awful. But the events are just getting more and more extreme because everything is warming up. And like, I'm sure we've all heard about that giant seaweed blob at this point. Like, the thing is about the size of the continental US. Seaweed spawns happen every year. It's not unusual, but this is huge, and it has to do with the fact that it's the water temperature is warmer.
hmm
So I've seen a lot of reporting about this in the past couple of weeks. It's gross, dude. It's so gross. So what it's doing is, because of the slightly warmer surface temperature of the water, it just is way, 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 way bigger than it would ever be. And it's just this huge, huge, massive blob of seaweed. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it, but it is gross looking.
Uh-huh.
But what this does is, because it floats on the top of the water, I saw this really incredible thing about it because I was like, okay, so there's more seaweed. Like, what's the big deal, right? It's gross. It's going to end up all over the beaches. Okay, but why is this like a big deal? Well, part of the reason it's a big deal is because it's actually suffocating fish. So it pulls a lot of oxygen out of the water right below it. So, because, it's photosynthesizing whatever it's on top of the water. And it pulls a lot of oxygen out of the water, and it's suffocating the fish that would normally eat it and keep it under control because it's too big now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's killing the fishies. And here's the really fun part and super extra gross. Because we don't want the fish to die, but also when it does come up on the beaches,
The fumes, right?
yeah, it releases, as it rots, it releases a noxious chemical. Like I forget what it's called, but it's a noxious gas that gets released as the seaweed is rotting. And it is harmful to people and animals and, people that like to breathe air, pretty much. Anything that likes to breathe air, this is not good for. And there's going to be so much of it, and they don't know how to dispose of it because you can't burn it.
Right.
Because of the noxious gas thing. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do to get rid of this stuff. It's supposed to start hitting Florida in July, and it's gonna be disgusting. The whole Gulf Coast is gonna be gross. And probably, to be fair, probably some of the beaches where I live too on the Eastern Atlantic are going to get really, really, really disgusting pretty fast.
It's just nature's way of bitch slapping DeSantis.
I would hope so. Well, he's going to just he's just going to claim a state of emergency.
Uh-huh.
Like, he's not going to do anything to prepare for it, but he's just going to claim a state of emergency when it happens.
Which, rightfully so. But yeah, no preparations for it whatsoever.
No, he's not going to call the scientists and be like, hey guys, is there anything we can do to try to protect our beaches from this shit?
I mean, that was a really tough one too to think about. How would you battle a giant blob of seaweed?
I don't know. I mean, it's like, I swear it looks like a Stephen King movie. It's gross.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that there was on Creepshow they did the raft. You remember that where they had that blob creature that was out in the water? There was a raft out in the middle of the lake, and the kids are swimming to it and everything. And there's this blob mass that's in the water starts eating them. Yeah, I'm picturing that. Only a larger, much larger,
much larger scale. I mean, I swear I heard somewhere on the news that this thing is almost the size of the continental U.S., which, dude, that is what? That's a lot of seaweed.
That is huge. Crazy huge.
Oh, you can fact check me. I don't know. But but the way they were talking about it, I know I heard somebody say that. I was like, that okay, I was expecting them to say, oh yeah, it's the size of Texas. That's big enough. Okay. But no. It's gonna be so gross.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna smell so bad.
Well, it's gonna make their beaches just what is Miami gonna do? Miami relies on the tourism for
dude,
all that. What are they gonna do?
And a lot of people, live kind of close to the beach too. So it's just what are you gonna do when you can't go outside because the smell and the air is so bad? Rotting seaweed.
Everyone's grabbing gas masks just to go check their mail.
Yeah. I would think that might not be too much of an exaggeration, actually.
I know, sadly.
Because I think even with an N95 on, you could still smell it, and that's not going to be pleasant either. So,
no, I mean, if it's toxic fumes, and that's
You need a gas mask. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's like, yeah,
I
it's kind of insane.
I actually own 2 gas masks, come to think of it.
We have one, and you know what? The only time I had to put it on ever was one time my husband was dehydrating liver to make for treats for the dog. And I had to have him put the dehydrator outside in the garage because it smells so bad. Dehydrated liver smells really, really, really bad.
Cooking liver smells bad.
I know, but you get about dehydrating. Oh,
uh-huh.
I mean, my dog loved it, but you know, one night I go out to the garage. I had this was like last winter. I had the plant starts out there, so I had to go out into the garage to, you know, we have them under the grow lights, like all our basils and little baby tomatoes and stuff. And they were all under the grow lights. I have to go out there and water them before I go to bed and shut the lights off. And I literally couldn't stand out there for more than like 2 seconds. So I put the gas mask on.
I don't blame you.
And I wish my husband would have taken a picture of this because it was really funny, because here I am under like these pink, like, so it's like pink grow lights, right? So there's already like this weird like hue in the room. And here I am in a gas mask and a hoodie watering plants.
Oh my God, photo op extreme. Hell yes.
Like, what is she growing in there? You know, like, it's just basil, man. It was the liver smell I couldn't stand.
Yeah. I'm growing basil right now too. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, I mean.
But yeah, I couldn't even. That was too much. But yeah, that's the only time I've ever had to wear one. I couldn't imagine having to wear one to go get the mail. What? No.
The weathers have taken so much dramatic turns on like, because I mean it's not just about the warming either.
Right.
That's why I like climate change above global warming.
Right. Because it's not just the planet is slowly heating, but
that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be hot everywhere.
Exactly. That's right.
It makes dramatic cold places as well. Places that normally aren't cold, like this year, Southern California had all kinds of snow. And
they did. Yeah. It was crazy.
They don't know how the hell to deal with that. I lived down there for 3 years. They didn't know what to do when it fucking rained. Like, I can only imagine what that was like down there with snow. Like, oh my gosh.
I hope everybody stayed home and like threw some snowballs and stuff. And had some hot chocolate for the first time in their lives. Like, I hope they did that.
For real. I'm willing to bet many of them have never seen snow in their entire life.
There is a possibility of that. Well, I mean, I remember seeing some actually like kind of cute videos because it sucked. They didn't know what to do with the snow, but school's canceled. Everybody gets to, whatever. And there were like little kids building snowmen. They've never seen snow before. They got to build snowmen.
What? Downtown LA, fucking snowman and shit.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Banana Republic with the big old snowman out front.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that part was kind of cute, but no, I can't imagine like a lot of people having much heat in their homes because do they really need it? I mean, I guess it gets cold for them at certain times of the year, but like if it's 50 degrees, do you really need a heater? Like
exactly. They think
not where I'm from.
For real. They think 53 degrees down there is like I'm going to die of freezing to death. You watch them, big old puffy jackets and scarves and everything.
Yeah.
I came from up here down there, and I'm walking around in like shorts, looking at these people. I'm like, ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'd be like 50 degrees. I'm like in jeans and a t-shirt, maybe my leather jacket. But do I need like 500 layers of clothes? No. And they would be shivering, and it was I'm like, wow.
So I'm like, dude, that's just hoodie weather. Like, I love being able to wear a nice hoodie and some jeans and sneakers,
Hoodie weather's my favorite weather.
If it starts getting much lower than that, though, then yeah, I probably have a jacket and a scarf and a hat.
Well, yeah, it gets.
But no, but those folks dress like it's 20 degrees outside, though, when it's 50.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, 20 degrees. Yeah, that's cold. That's cold. All right.
That's just pure. Yeah, that's just cold. It's not freezing cold.
No, it's actually definitely freezing.
Yeah. But those different a lot of those different patterns though in the weather on the West Coast though. You had brought up this bit earlier when we were talking about the atmospheric river, and I wanted you to share this with everybody because I had heard about this and how it affected it was affecting certain areas of Hawaii and California, but it's also affecting your area as well. What's that all about?
It goes actually all the way up to Alaska up here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the whole Northwest is getting a bunch of, unusual weather. Like,
yeah.
For example, like the very first day of spring break was like April 4th, something like that, somewhere around there. And we had snow on that day. I found that one. I was like, wow, interesting. I was reading about, the subject on this area, and they were saying that drought is an ongoing climate related issue throughout the Northwest. Idaho, Oregon, and Washington have experienced multiple droughts since 2000 and are projected to experience more drought with climate change. Parts of Alaska have also experienced extreme drought recently, which, if you think about that, like, really, Alaska is getting droughts when they're like a frozen ground, mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it. I mean, I know that's not all of Alaska, but still.
Yeah.
But floods, heat waves, cold snaps, high winds, which, yes, we've had like 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, which is ridiculous. Wow.
Like without a storm, just high winds?
Just winds. Just wind.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes it rains, but most times it's just wind.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
I have to go repair my roof again because of it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I know. But droughts and extreme precipitation, see, that's the other thing too, is like, not only do we get droughts, which will last for a period of time, and then everyone gets all worried, and then all of a sudden we get hit with so much water that we get floods. We had
because when the ground is after severe drought, the ground can't even absorb that much water that fast.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And we had, oh my gosh, a couple years back, we had a huge flood that happened in this area. People were bringing in their lawnmowers, their chainsaws, things like that to have us repair them. I had to pour just gunks of water out of them, and dirt and mud, and even snails. There were snails in people's machines. It was ridiculous.
Oh God, that's tough.
But I mean, all of this is just hoax, right? Like,
right.
Real, but yeah, it's just going to continue to get worse.
Yeah, and that thing about the atmospheric river too, like it holds.
Oh yeah.
The amount of water that it's actually holding.
More than the Nile River.
Oh my!
Is what it said. Yeah, but it's all vaporized. So
it's water vapor, but it's like, given the right conditions, can do something like cause massive rainstorms or snowstorms or whatever.
And they say it's highly unpredictable too, because they can follow its flow, but it can change its course and its path at any given second. And so
it doesn't. Oh wow! So it doesn't. No, I guess it doesn't exactly follow the jet streams then, because we can see those. When you watch the weather, they're like, oh yeah, this is moving this way. This pressure system is moving this direction, and it kind of gives you an indication as to what the weather could be like.
But according to
if this thing doesn't follow those rules, then that's a problem.
Well, I'd say for the most part it does, but let me see if I can find where they actually talked about that, because they did bring up the fact that it. Here we go. Okay, they vary in size, but can be 250 to 375 miles wide and over 1,000 miles long.
Oh, wow.
Some carry more water than the biggest river on land. Oh, the Amazon River, not the Nile, excuse me, was the Amazon River.
Oh, wow.
Atmospheric rivers play important roles in annual water supplies around the world. Blah, 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 blah. Where was the part where they were saying this? Unlike physical rivers, atmospheric rivers transport water as vapor rather than liquid. Also, high and low pressure systems determine where they move. This means that models can be used to forecast where they will drop their water, but it is not certain because the movement of the atmospheric river can be unpredictable. It can be difficult to prepare for their arrival.
Huh. Wow. Man, that's nuts. And you know what's weird? I hadn't even heard of it until like 2 weeks ago.
I hadn't either.
I thought I was
honestly.
I thought I was pretty good with a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, atmosphere. What's an atmospheric river? Never even heard of this.
I know, like when they said that, I'm like, I imagine like, what, is there like space rivers? What?
Space rivers. That's funny. The rivers in the sky. Sounds like a song from the 70s or something.
I mean, I want to go fishing that. Elon
Go fishing in a river in the sky. That's definitely got to be a song from the 70s.
Right?
Oh my God. Oh gosh. Kidding aside though. I mean, that's intense though, because that's like, apparently the reason they have to be talking about it now is because like all of these other events, they're getting more extreme. Mm-hmm. and more unpredictable, and just affecting areas that they wouldn't normally affect, right. Like snow in California. What the hell? Well, snow in a very specific part of California that never gets snow.
Droughts in Alaska. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Well, I think we can talk about a fun thing now, because one of our favorite shows was set up beautifully. Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Last of Us, but if you haven't watched it yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. For real. But the show begins with this really beautiful setup of two scientists, and they're talking about pandemics, which, very apropos coming right after COVID. And the one doctor is talking about like this airborne sort of thing that could be the thing that levels the planet. And, it was like, oh yeah, we all just went through COVID. What nicely played. But then the other doctor says, oh, no. We'll get through that. What we won't be able to get through is if the overall temperature of the planet continues to increase, fungus could evolve to the point where they could actually survive inside a human body.
Which they currently do in the insect world, because they don't reach temperatures that we do. So we've seen in nature that the fungus will zombify insects.
Yeah, it's there's that ants, that thing with the ants.
Where they'll either climb up to underneath of leaves. I think that's one. And then there's another one where they'll climb to the ends of grass blades in like a grazing field. Mm-hmm. And only when a warm mammal is nearby. And then once the mammal passes, if they don't eat them, then they go back and act normal. They go back to normal ant behaviors. But the moment a warm mammal comes by, up on the end of the grass they go.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Kamikaze fungus ants. And I know it's been kind of noted in other species too, like different fungal infections and insects specifically. But I love that that's the way they set this up, because it's like, oh yeah, the planet got warm enough to the point where this fungus can, cordyceps can live inside a human body. And all fungus does is reproduce and talk to each other, by the way.
Uh-huh.
They do that. The largest living organisms in the world are not redwood trees or blue whales. It's fungus.
Yeah, and one of them's here, actually in Oregon. I think that is the largest one.
They're massive because it's one network and it goes all the way underground, and you can have miles and miles and miles and miles and miles radius of one fungal community. One. And so it talks to each other. It talks to trees. If anybody's seen the movie Fantastic Fungi, by the way, that's a good way to get over Last of Us, because it talks about all the wonderful benefits of mushrooms and how they do talk to each other and things. But if the apocalypse were to happen, I do kind of think it could be the mushrooms because they'll just take over everything. They really will.
Oh, no, I was right. It was in Oregon. In 1992, a team of researchers discovered a colony of honey mushrooms in Michigan that absolutely trumped previous record holders for the world's largest organism, weighing in at 10.5 tons and stretching across 37 acres, about 150,000 square meters.
Wow.
The team looking in Oregon later in 1998 wasn't expecting to beat the record, but that Michigan colony never had a chance. The one in Oregon, since they keep finding more and more of the mushroom, it's hard to say exactly how huge it is, but estimates place it somewhere between 7,500 and 35,000 tons. For comparison, the entire population of Portland is about 640,000. If you calculate an average weight of 136 pounds apiece, then the humans of Portland clock in at 43,520 tons. Heavier than the mushroom, sure, but not by a whole lot.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And also because it's like, oh yeah, sure, this many people weigh more than this massive mushroom, but this thing is way bigger than all y'all.
Yeah.
Well, and this is why we don't need the planet to warm up too much, because the mushrooms are going to eat all the people.
Oh, I mean, the immensity of that mushroom and in the area, I need to find out exactly where it's located. I need to know this.
I mean, it's probably under you right now.
It might be. It's just waiting for its time. So I'm going to get you, sucker. I'm going to get you.
Don't step on the mushrooms.
I mean, hell, I see little mushrooms that pop up in my yard, usually in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to be even more worried. I'm going to be paying attention.
Oh, no, we used to get, because we're in Western North Carolina, there's a certain time of year where if you lived in the right place and you knew where to look, you could get morels. Mm-hmm. Morels are the most delicious thing. They're so good.
They are.
And one year I got a bumper crop one year. I said total of about 10 of them that were like the size of the palm of my hand.
Oh, nice.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And my husband doesn't really like them, so more for me. He would have like one bite and I would get to eat the rest.
Oh my gosh, those and portobellos. Those are my two favorite mushrooms.
Yeah, morels are hard to get though, because you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know how to cut them and check them, make sure they're hollow, whatever. But, right. Oh my God, they're so good.
They taste good, but they look disgusting. They look like
look like brains.
Yeah, they do.
But when you see them, you're so happy.
If
it's too hot. It never gets cool enough down here though, because morels would only pop up like they'll pop up on the first really, really warm day after it's been raining, like after a cold snap breaks. That's when the morels show up. So it's usually like around March-ish
Oh,
in
so it's more spring.
Western North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, very early spring. But we barely have a spring here. Like it just kind of goes from like kind of cold and sort of nice to hot.
I don't know where the sweet spots are here because people around here are like real picky about letting people know where they are, because they don't want other people infringing on their morals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So every once in a while I can get some, but I know that you have to, because I live right on.
You have to go out at the right time. And I bet if you took a
Right.
walk in the woods and you know where to look, you have to look in shady spots.
Right. Well,
around trees usually.
I live in a valley at the base of the Blue Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that you have to actually go into the mountains to find them, though. That's
yeah.
That is it.
Yeah, I would
is
imagine.
Have to. That giant mushroom, by the way.
Yeah.
It's underground for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's where they mostly live. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if morels are kind of like that too, that they're just an underground network.
Yeah, and then every now and then it's like, hello.
Yeah, if the conditions are right, then
yeah, you can go ahead and eat us. We'll be back. Eventually, when we feel like it.
Now I'm gonna have to do a lot more research on mushrooms. I didn't actually like mushrooms until recently. By the way, I hated mushrooms for the majority of my life. And I've just I still cannot handle those white mushrooms.
Oh, the little button ones.
Yeah,
I like those. I'll put them in a salad.
That's what I can't stand when they're raw. When they're raw, it tastes like I just grabbed a handful of dirt, shoved it in my mouth, and I don't like it. But if it's like sautéed or cooked into something and it absorbs the flavors around
yeah.
Or even on pizza. I like it on pizza. That was where I discovered
mushroom pizza is so good.
Yeah. I've got a spinach mushroom pizza in my freezer right now that I'm
sounds delightful. Yeah.
Right? With an Alfredo sauce.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh my goodness.
But so we digress. But the point is I didn't like mushrooms forever. And so I just recently discovered that, portobello was actually the one that made me realize that I did like them, or like some mushrooms, right? Because I was hanging out with a friend who's sadly departed, and we were having like a little dinner party, and there were these giant fucking mushrooms, right? Huge mushrooms, and they're like baking them and stuffed them, and I'm like, I'll try it. And I'm like, holy shit, this is good. Like, what the hell? The texture, the flavor, everything was fantastic. So I started dabbling a little more, and that's when I actually did try morels finally, even though they look funky.
Yeah, they look like brains, but they're delicious.
Yeah. This is where you were saying where you would cut me off if I start to ramble.
Well, I was going to say that we're speaking about things that are underground, right? Like mushrooms. And there's lots of other things that are deeper underground that people actually go digging for, and they don't wait for it to come up on their own, right? Mm-hmm. So, we're poking a lot of holes in the planet for oil and fracking of natural gases.
Every time someone says fracking, I think of Lobo, the comic Lobo. You fracking frack.
Well, the thing is, obviously it's not good, because when you take anything out of the ground, you're leaving gaps where that stuff used to be. And fracking has caused earthquakes. Oil drilling, well, I don't know if it's necessarily caused earthquakes, but I'm pretty sure it has, since they dig for oil all along the San Andreas Fault in California. I don't know why they do that. Seems like a pretty bad idea. But, with oil drilling in the ocean, the BP oil spill, all the stuff that we saw, how much just havoc happens over when these things go wrong. Geothermal might be a little better, because you might be poking a hole, but at least you're not pulling anything out that's trying to support the
Yeah, maybe
support the
explain what
surface
that means.
above it.
Because you mentioned that to me earlier, and I didn't understand what that was. I don't know anything about this, so maybe explain what that is.
I have to do a little more research about it, but honestly, what I understand so far is that kind of regular drilling that goes through rock and stuff still happens towards the surface, but then it gets to a point where they actually use like a microwave to just kind of disintegrate the rock as it goes down, so they're not disrupting anything around it. And then eventually, you get to a heat vent, and you harness the heat without pulling anything out of the planet.
Yeah, that's definitely something to look into, because
so if you're, I mean, it seems like if you're going to be poking holes, that might be the better one, as far as I understand it.
Well, I mean, you would think that the drilling is going to cause massive vibrations,
right? Of course.
So yeah.
So that's when they get to a certain point, and they use this kind of microwave thing. So it's not the same as like basically jackhammering all the way down into the earth like they do when they drill for oil and stuff.
It's just cutting straight through instead of.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if they just had like some cool lasers and just pew, but we're not there yet.
Get Rick and Morty to drop a lightsaber.
Yeah. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, that just seems like a better thing. But like, I mean, I remember I voted against some fracking measures in Western North Carolina. I mean, you're in the mountains. Those are the Appalachians are some of the oldest mountains in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're some of the oldest because they're not as tall as some of the other ones. There's a huge fault line there. Like, I just don't be messing with that.
No, it's like tempting fate, honestly, when you do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Where I lived out in California, we were literally right on top of the San Andreas Fault. This town had been leveled in like the early 80s. And they're still digging for oil there. It's like, I may think that maybe that's not a good idea.
The one that happened in the 90s, we felt that all the way up in Walla Walla, Washington.
Oh yeah.
I was actually sitting on the toilet. I remember it. I was sitting on the toilet like, what the hell is that? Everything started moving, and that's not normal for where I grew up. That never happened.
Yeah. I'm honestly the only time I only lived out in California for like just over a year, and I was like, I want to live in a place where earthquakes aren't a thing. It's just terrifying.
I mean, I'll take earthquakes. I'll take earthquakes over tornadoes and typhoons and all of that any day. Honestly, like I'll take my chance with things falling on me, as opposed to nature smacking the crap out of me.
Right. I mean, I guess I traded potential earthquakes and tornadoes for hurricanes because of where I live. So,
Yeah, when I met you, you were showing me how you were preparing for a flood from a hurricane.
Yeah, because if it comes in at the right time and it happens to be high tide, and actually, that one, when we prepared for all the flooding, the water came in like not into the house, but in the backyard. It got like almost up to the fenced in area, like where the pool is. But then it receded when the tide went back. So, whew,
Yeah. See,
we got lucky. And the power stayed on. We got really lucky. No water in the house. The power stayed on. I mean, a massive tree fell in the front yard, but also somehow managed to miss everything. I mean, it shook the damn house. We were awake when it happened. It was like, it was because it literally felt like something hit the roof. Like, it did feel like something actually hit the house. And and we inspected it. Our neighbors thought something hit their house. That's how loud it was. And so it had calmed down just enough. And then we're like, okay, the wind's kind of stopped from it. We got to go see what happened, so we know what we're dealing with in the morning. I know it's just this massive tree going like all the way across the front lawn, which is not small. And I mean, several 100 feet of tree.
How long did it take for the removal process, by the way?
Oh no, my father-in-law cut it up and we used it for firewood.
No. There you go. I mean, that's the silver lining, free firewood, right? That shit ain't cheap.
No, it is not. But when you have a massive tree in your front lawn, you're set for the whole winter.
Yeah. That was actually how I was able to get my tree removed without having to pay a dime for it. The guy said he just wanted it for firewood. And I said, and you'll take it down? He said, yeah. I said, have that.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's perfect, dude.
Right.
That is really, really perfect. Well, you know what? Let's circle back to a couple of things we were saying earlier. I think even before we got started, and we'll kind of wrap this up. But yeah, there you go. Volunteer to take a tree down if you need some firewood.
Yeah.
Do what you can to help the environment and people around you. Take a trash bag with you when you go on a hike.
Always.
Or because
just camping.
Even just can't because it's still the little things. Little things really, really matter. I mean, we can, rail against fossil fuel industries and these big companies that, just don't care. And but we're going to do that with our vote. We have to vote for people who aren't going to support these big industries, who aren't going to take money from oil companies and, well, the NRA too, but that's a different topic. We'll talk about that later. But, people who actually support development and the investment in renewable energy infrastructure, because we're going to need it. And if we don't start doing it now, I mean, there's no Band-Aid to fix this. Like, we have to start doing it now so that 20, 30, 40 years down the road, we might not even have to put gas in cars anymore. And those cars might not have to be charged on coal, so maybe we could actually make this happen. But let's try to save our planet. And with that being said, do what you can, look up your favorite stuff. If you can donate money to ecological nonprofits that are doing the right thing in your communities, do so, because, local level is just as important as national and global level. And we will see you again soon, guys. In the meantime, you can find us at Name a Pod on Twitter and YouTube and Spotify.